So welcome to Give Yoga class. If you're on the chair, you may want to have a block handy because it's comfortable for your feet to have them up on a block. You also may want to have props, whether you're on a chair or on the floor, to soften. So we're going to begin in relaxation pose. So if you're on the chair, you want to feel your sits bones comfortably on the chair seat and have your feet resting comfortably on a block or a pillow. If you're on the mat, lengthen out your legs or keep your knees bent. And let's begin. So begin by taking a deep inhale through your nose and letting it fall out of your mouth. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, deep inhale, filling the belly, rib cage, and shoulder blades. And let it out through your mouth. And then begin to just follow your normal breath. Allowing your body to soften. Checking in with the parts that are hitting the surface, back of your head, your shoulders, pelvis, calves and feet, heels. And on the chair, just feel your sit bones heavy and your feet relaxed. It's a morning practice, and you may want to form an intention for your practice or for your day. Could be anything, could be something about yoga, your body, or just about how you'd like your day to go and how you'd like your practice to go. So let's begin in our first pose. So those of you who are on the mat can roll over onto your side and make your way up to seated. And if you're in the chair, you're going to come back on your chair and come forward on your sits bones. And on the mat, you're going to come forward on your sits bones too. And we're going to come into butterfly pose. So you're going to make your way with your legs out in front of you. And then bring the soles of your feet together and open up your knees. And you can have a diamond shape, which has the feet farther away from your groins, or you can bring yourself in a little closer into more of a square shape. You get more sensation then in the legs. And for those of you who really want a good stretch, and your body does, you can bring the heels in fairly close to the groins. But play around here for a few breaths to find out where you think you can maintain the pose for 3 minutes, because we're going to hold this pose for 3 minutes. So you don't want to get into a shape where you're going to be uncomfortable. We're trying to stress the connective tissues, and we're going to be folding forward. So just play around with the shape for a minute while I grab my timer that I left over here. So once you've got your feet and hips in a comfortable shape, you can place your hands in front of you and begin to just fold forward. There's no need to keep a straight spine, but you do want to have the fold come from the hips and not from the mid-back. So you're folding forward from the hips and starting to soften and release. Generally, you'll feel this pose in the outer hips and maybe in the inside of the thighs. Just soften. Relax your jaw. Soften the shoulders. If you start to feel any discomfort in your knees, you can put a pillow or a prop under your knee or change your position. And just make sure that you can take a nice full breath into your belly. That's usually the barometer if you're in the good shape, that you can breathe into your belly and relax. In yin, we're not striving to go anywhere. We're just relaxing the joints so that the connective tissues can soften and the prana can flow freely. Continue to scan to make sure you're not picking up any tension. Take a big inhale and then slowly start to roll up your spine. Don't rush. Bring your legs straight out in front of you. Take your hands slightly behind you and just lift up your chest. We'll counter pose to the forward fold. And then you can bend your knees and do some windshield wiper motions. And then we'll prepare for our next pose, which is dragon pose. So I'm going to demonstrate on the chair, but those of you who know dragon pose, you can come into a table position and then you can walk your left leg through so it's in line with your hands, and then start to lengthen out the right leg behind you. So I'm going to do it on the chair. So I'm going to actually move my chair a little forward and close to the wall here. And then I'm going to come forward to the floor, stretching my right leg out behind me. So then you can take your left hand and bring it to the inside of your right leg. If you are on the chair and this is too strong a stretch for you, you can always put pillows or come up a little higher on blocks. So in this pose, we're really getting a good stretch in the right quadricep. And if you open up your left knee, you're getting a good stretch in the inside of the left thigh. So I'm up on my hands because I'm high on a chair. If you're an experienced dragoner, which most of us, if this is the strongest yin pose there is, you can come down on your elbows, get more stretch or stress on the joints. This feels pretty good. I kind of like it on the chair. Nice deep breaths. If you find it gets to be too much, you can always bring props. I always have lots of props with me. I think I said in the email to have plenty of props. One of the beauties of doing a yin practice, especially during the pandemic, is yin stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So instead of having the fight or flight response of stress, you get the relax and release response of no stress. Continue to listen to your body, honor it. So we're going to slowly come out of dragon on this side. So walk your hands back. Back into a table position. If you're on the mat, come back to sitting up onto your chair with a good alignment if you're on the chair. And just notice the effects and where you feel them in your body. I'm fortunate to have two chairs here, so I'll just move over to my other chair. So we're going to come back into a table position if you're on the mat and extend out your right leg for the lunge and take the left leg back so that you're not right on your kneecap, but you come to as good a stretch as you can in your left leg so that you can feel some sensation in your left quadricep. And again, you're going to bring your hands down, place them inside that right foot. And you may notice this side you have more range of motion or less range of motion. So don't expect to do the same thing on this side. Again, play around with the pose. If you haven't done this pose a lot, you might want to find what works for you. Don't want to put too much stress on the wrists or the shoulders. This pose gets into a lot of the meridians, so it does help move the lymph and prana through the body, fronts of the thighs, in the groin area. Continue to soften. Very slowly take an inhale, walk your hands back. And for those of you who are on the mat, you want to lie right down on your back and sense the rebound from the pose. You're on the chair. You can come onto your chair and lengthen out your legs. On another chair, just bring your legs down onto the mat. And just, again, feel the rebound from this very strong posture. So if you're on the mat, you want to bring your knees into your chest and hug your knees into your chest. And then bring your arms out to the sides in the T shape and allow your knees to fall over to the left, coming into a reclined twist. Make any adjustments with your legs that you need. We're going to be in this pose for 3 minutes. So if you're on the chair, you're going to come to one side, sitting sideways on the chair. And you're going to bring your arms around and grab the back of the chair, keeping the shoulders open. This is a nice twist in the chair. I like this because it's very relaxing. You're holding onto the chair and you're getting that great twist from the belly. So once you're in position and you're on the floor or in the chair, just begin to soften. Relax those inner thighs and that outer hip. Feel the good compression in the digestive organs. Breathe. The face and jaw relaxed. Soften those shoulders. Just take a few breaths and perhaps be grateful for this body you have that's taking good care of you. That's why you take good care of it. Slowly begin to unwind from your twist. If you're on the mat, bend your knees, bring your knees in and your feet out. Bring one hand onto your heart, one hand onto your belly in constructive rest pose. If you're on the chair, you can do the same thing. You can bring those knees together and those feet apart. Just take a few breaths here in constructive rest pose. And then we'll prepare to twist in the other side. So again, if you're on the mat, bend your knees into your chest, hug them in, bring the arms out to the side, and drop your knees down to the right. And on the chair, we'll bring our knees over to the other side of the chair and grab the back of the chair for the twist. Keeping the pelvis on the chair to the side so that when we twist, we're twisting from the waist. We get that great twist right from the lumbar spine right up to the shoulders. And again, as usual, this side will feel different than the other side. If you're on the mat, you may want to prop your legs a little bit differently if you're propping them. And then just release and soften. Yin in the morning is great because we're working with cold joints. Muscles like to be warm, but the joints soften and the connective tissue gets stronger and more pliable if you start with cold connective tissue. So morning is a great time to do yin just to loosen up the joints. It's also great because you can notice what's going on in your mind. Sometimes when you're practicing yin, you can be in the moment. And sometimes you'll notice you have what we call monkey mind, and you're just hopping all over the place. Shopping lists, what happened yesterday. There's not right or wrong here. You're just noticing what's going on. So it's a great way to start the day, physically, mentally, and emotionally with the parasympathetic nervous system. Let's face it, yin is a perfect practice. Slowly unwind from your twist. Bring your hands down beside you from the mat. Bring the feet back to center. If you're on the chair, you want to come back to sitting straight ahead on your chair. And you can lengthen out your legs. If you are on the mat and the chair, you can just sit up nice and tall. We're going to come roll around to your sides if you're on the mat and come back up into a table pose. And we're going to do a cat-cow here. So On the chair, if you've got another chair in front of you, or even if you've got your block, I'm going to just do some cat-cow movements here on the chair. So we're going to lift the belly button up and drop the head. Drop the belly and lift the chin. Great spinal movement. And if you're on the mat, you're going to come into child pose, and on the chair, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to drop your forearms down to the chair in front of you. Just relax your torso over your belly. Bring your forehead down onto your forearms. Take a few deep breaths here. Soften the knees. And when you're ready, you're going to slowly come up and come back into a seated position, and we're going to do caterpillar pose. So caterpillar pose is a forward fold. I'm going to suggest a new way to come into it. So whether you're on the mat or you've got your chairs, you're going to come up into a seated position and then bend your knees in front of you. Lift up your toes and bring your hands down and grab your toes. Or if you can't grab your toes, grab your ankles. So grab this, the farthest down your leg you can go here. And then we're going to slowly lengthen out that right foot and then that left foot. You still got your fingers on your toes, good for you. Keeping the knees straight ahead. The beauty with your arms here is you can prevent your legs from bowing out. And then you can, if this is as far as your hamstrings want to go, you could put pillows underneath your knees, or you could let go of your feet and let your legs go out a little further. So in other words, we're trying to come into a deep, as deep a forward fold as your body will allow. So legs straight out in front of you, relaxed legs, no tension. You're going to fold forward over your legs. Now, when I do this in my class, because I have tight somewhere, tight everywhere pretty much, I put like lots of props right up on top of me like this. And sometimes props under my knees, and then I just fold forward. No stress. We're going to stay here for 3 minutes, so find a way to be cozy in this pose. If you have your roller nearby, you can stick your roller on there too. See, look at me, I'm way propped up. And we're just going to listen to the body. This is a good pose to have a conversation with your hamstrings and quads. You can tell your hamstrings how sorry you feel for them because we sit so much. And your quads, you can just invite to relax. Nice full breaths into the belly. Very, very slowly walk your hands in. Make your way up to seated. Bring your hands behind you and lift up your heart center. And then you're going to slowly make your way into your final pose, Shavasana. So if you're on a chair and you want to go down onto the mat into Shavasana, you can. You're going to be in Shavasana for just a couple of minutes because we've kind of run over time here. That's okay, I hope, for all of you. So make your way into the final position, softening your body on the mat, relaxing the spine. Using this time to integrate the postures into your body. Continue to soften, letting go. Start to bring the body back, introducing some movement, gently nodding the head from side to side as you deepen your breath. Starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes. And then rotate your wrists and ankles counterclockwise and clockwise several times. And then bring the arms overhead. And if you're on the mat, lengthen out your legs, point your toes, and take a deep stretch. Span the ribs. And then roll over onto your side. It doesn't matter. Some people like to roll right. Some people like to roll left. Just roll over to your side and stay here for just a few breaths before making your way gently up to a seated position. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. I just love seeing you all.